Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. If this is your first time with us, it's going to be a good one. We have Jim Baker with us from API Tech, and my name's Nick, and I'm with the Northwest Tri-County Intermediate Unit. And we wouldn't be able to be doing this right now if it wasn't for our partnership with the Northwest PA Job Connect. So a special shout out and thank you to them. And today, like I said, we have Jim Baker with us, and he is an IT or informational technology technical services supervisor. And what we're going to do is we're going to give him an opportunity to talk a little bit about his background, I'm going to ask him some basic questions, and then somewhere on your screen, you should see like a little bubble icon with a question mark on it. All while Jim is talking, or if you have some questions for Jim, don't hesitate to throw them in there in the Q&A. In the last 15 minutes or so, we'll be able to ask Jim those questions. So as Jim's talking, fire away in that question and answer, and then we'll ask those questions whenever we have time for that at the end. So here we go. We're going to see Jim.
All right, as Nick said, I'm Jim Baker. I work for API Technologies. We're a subsidiary of a larger holding company, AE8 Investments. So we're a wide range of electronic components, essentially, is what API makes. We make anything from the little 9-pin connector on your PC to hook to a monitor, all the way up to giant microwave antenna arrays that they use on Navy ships. So it's a wide range of components that we build at various locations. I think we have 18 locations now around the world, anywhere from here in the US to a facility in Juarez, Mexico, to some facilities in the UK that do European Union type things, same products, just they can only sell to Europe and we can only sell to the rest of the world.
So Jim, you were saying when we were chatting a little bit before that your country makes these kind of little electronic components and they serve different roles. You were also talking about your role as the IT supervisor. Where were you helping people this morning? You were sharing with me that you were helping people in what different countries?
I worked on a PC in Singapore, and I worked on a user's machine in Germany, and then I worked on several servers at various sites in the US. We have a site in Philly, a site in Delmar, Delaware, and I worked on both of those. I also worked on a phone system in Marlborough, Massachusetts. So everything I do is mainly remote. We do have a facility here in Fairview. I also went around this morning and fixed a couple of printers, loaded some software on another machine, fixed the network connection on another one. So it's a wide range of jobs you can do in a day.
So all of those things that API and the employees are designing or creating, you're the guy behind the scenes of making sure of all their technologies up to par and ready to go to do their job.
Yeah, I'm the guy they all call when it broke. So I'm never their favorite person until I fix it.
So tell us about some of the things that API does make, like that cell phone thing you were describing earlier.
We make a lot of military components at most of our facilities. They're ranging anywhere from guidance control systems to microwave arrays to cell phone hopping things. One of the products we did build, and pretty much all I'm allowed to say about it, is it allows frequency hopping to block cell signals except what we want. And the primary application for that was in the Middle East. When the convoys were traveling, we could mount our unit on one of the vehicles and it would only allow our signals to come in, so they couldn't detonate other things nearby. It just blocked all other signals. So it worked out pretty well for that. But
yeah, that's great. It's very admirable to know that you're a part of to helping save lives. So that piece of technology built by API, would prohibit cell services. Maybe if somebody was trying to detonate a bomb or something with a cell phone, it would block that and save a life. That's very admirable. So tell us a little bit about right now. You said you're working in Fairview and you're working on, you said you have a computer right next to you. What are you doing with that computer right now as we're talking with you?
That one, I'm just loading our basic software programs on it. We essentially image machines. So we've created a process. I can load machines and image them, rename them, join them to the domain, ship them out to various locations. Right now, I'm loading one now. I've got 3 or 4 more to get done this afternoon to ship out to, I think 2 are going to Marlboro and 1 to Ann Arbor, and 1 is a new hire in Philadelphia. So
Okay.
those will all be done this afternoon. It's just part of the process.
That's one of my best. Was my next question is, and what takes up most of your time? What's your biggest responsibility?
Mine, I'm in charge of, for lack of a better term, tier 2 support. We have 2 levels of support group. We have the frontline guys that take care of most of the day-to-day. I need access to this folder on the network, or I'm locked out of this program, or I need this installed. I take care of the ones that are a little more in depth. Like I just got an email today that I have a new license code for a new piece of software for engineers that I've got to install on a machine that just needs a little more skill set to get installed and working correctly. And I'll have to work with our security team to open network ports up and get the software running on the network.
So for our users out there, and this is a hurdle for me too. When Jim talks about a machine, what we generally think of as a computer, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and he talks about an image and all those things that are overlaying, like Microsoft Word or Google Chrome. Those are part of an image that you would put onto a computer or machine.
Yes, we have, instead of manually loading a machine, starting with a Windows 10 and loading all of our individual software, which takes about 6 hours to do.
Wow.
We created an individual image with all of that software preloaded on it, and I can load one of those in about 15 minutes.
Wow. In German, if you wanted to.
Actually, yes. One of the features of Windows 10 is you can switch the language very easily. I had to do that when I was working on the machine in Germany today, was go in, switch it to English because I had no idea where the menus were saying to go.
Wow, where we are today. So Jim, in your role as an IT supervisor, what if a kiddo wanted to pursue a career or line of work like this, what would you say interests that you have and abilities that you have that make you an asset to API?
The biggest thing, as far as degrees go, you can get away with there's 18-month trade school programs that'll get you the basic knowledge to do IT. The rest of it is mainly personality-wise. You have to be almost customer service oriented. I think of all of our users as my customers, and whether the customer is right or not, they're always right. So you have to work around that. It's a lot of hand holding, a lot of, oh, here's how you do this. I know I've showed it to you 12 other times, but no, I'm going to show you again here. This time, please write it down.
So patience.
A lot of patience. Most of it is a lot of critical thinking, a lot of problem solving. I get a lot of the things where they'll call me and say, hey, this program's never done this before. How do I fix it? So a lot of mine are doing a little bit of research, doing a lot of Google searches, a lot of, oh, I've seen that before. Let me look back through our old tickets and see how we solved this last time type things. So it's more problem solving, critical thinking, thinking outside the box. How can I solve this problem that we've never seen before?
Wow. So you have to have basically aces up your sleeve and be able to know where to go to find that answer. So of the tickets, explain to us a ticket. What's that mean if you get one?
Our users, we have an actual computer program system. One of our developers actually wrote our own that they can put in my PC's having this problem. When I click this link, it's giving me an error message, or it's not going where I want it, or it's not allowing me access. And they can enter a ticket into our system describing the problem. Somebody on my team would then contact them, maybe get more information. Maybe they know from just looking at it and say, oh, you need to be a member of a specific group that has rights to do that. and we just add them to that group. Solves the problem immediately. It could be this morning I had one where the printer's not printing. Well, I went out and looked, and it turned out that the printer itself, one of the rollers, had a paper jam behind it. I had to clean a paper jam out.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a pretty simple fix. Other times it's you need to spend an hour figuring out how to install the license software and get all of the oddball firewalls and rules programmed to make it work.
So on average, if you had to ballpark, what percentage of the tickets that come in do you say, oh, I know the answer to that right now? Or what percentage of those do you have to go out and find the answer?
Overall for the tickets, about 80% we know the answer right off. It's something we've seen before. The other 20, they're a wide variety. It could be as simple as, oh, this used to run on my machine, and it turns out their machine was an old XP based system or Windows 7 based system, and now they got a new Windows 10 machine and it doesn't work the same. So then we have to do a lot of research into how do we make this work on Windows 10.
So a lot of times you're self-learning, you're discovering.
Oh yeah, you're never. That's one of the great things about the job is it's constantly changing, constantly evolving, and no day's ever the same, and you always learn something new every day.
So is it safe to say a characteristic of somebody who maybe wants to go into an IT role is that you have to have an aspiration to evolve and grow and learn?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, technology from think back when you first started, Nick, what, 30 years ago, whatever it was, when you went in, did you have a PC at your desk or did you put something in and do a mainframe? See, when I started, there were no PCs at a desk. It was you'd submit your request to IT and they would send stuff back to you later on in the report form. And you know, I've installed anything from the original 286 desktop to current machines running 50 PCs on a virtual client.
Cool. So as we transition, we're going to talk a little bit about your education. To our audience out there, don't forget that as Mr. Baker's talking, don't forget to throw some Q&A at him. We're going to get to that here very shortly. So Jim, walk us through your educational journey. What did you get? Does your job right now require a degree? Talk to us about that.
It would require a 2-year degree. Actually, it's kind of funny. My degree is in mathematics.
Wow.
It has nothing, but I always worked on PCs, and my first job I had a computer minor, started programming, found out I didn't like programming as well as actually fixing the equipment, and moved on from there into installing equipment. But as far as skill set, you'll need at least a 2-year degree or an 18-month certification from a trade school on PC repair or diagnostics for a technician level. If you want to be a programmer or a developer, you need a 4-year degree at least. Usually in anything from VBNet, Microsoft Net. A lot of it now is based off of some ActiveX and other coding things. I don't do much coding anymore. So okay. As far as education, you'll need a lot of it's more on the job. I'd rather get somebody I can teach the skills to that has a basic want to learn than hire somebody that, oh, I know everything, and they're not going to work out well.
Boy, that seems to be a pattern that with all these interviews we've been doing with the professionals, that's a pattern that most people in your role, in a supervisory role, they're not really worried about what's on that resume, all those skills that they can master this, master that. What's a quality that you're looking for in a candidate?
Somebody willing to learn, is willing to talk with people, not afraid to talk to people and ask them questions to get. Most of our things coming in as far as tickets are, this is broke, and that's all they put in the ticket. So you got to get a hold of them and dig a little deeper. Well, what were you doing? What button did you push? Did something happen? Is there an error message that showed up? And then we can go from there and actually resolve the problem. But a lot of it's more being willing to talk to people, willing to learn. We look for people that are kind of outgoing, not afraid of talking to people, not afraid of doing a little bit of research and problem solving skills.
Yeah.
We do look for basic education. Yes, you have to know what a PC is. You have to know how to install more memory in it or replace a hard drive. But that's anybody coming up now, if they have interest in computers, has done that on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And so we have some questions that are coming in, and what we're going to do is I want to ask you a question, and we always get. What are some things that what's the thing you love the most about your job, and what's the thing you don't love the most about your day to day?
It's going to be the same answer. The biggest thing is the diversity. I come to work never knowing what is going to be going on that day. I come in with a plan, and to be honest with you, 90% of the time, I walk out of the door at the end of the day going, I didn't get anything done I was attempting to do. So, but it's always something different, always something interesting. You're always trying to figure out problems and learn something new. The other side of it is you love working with the people, and yet you hate working with the people because you can't get anything done because they're always calling you with their problem to fix. So it's both good and bad.
That's job security, right?
Always. That's what I tell them. They go, "This is broken." I said, "I don't think of it as broken. It's job security, man."
And yeah, that has to be when people are constantly contacting you with the sole intent of, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with that. You have to be a fixer. So
yep. And you're never going to be employee of the month because they only call you when it's broken and they're mad.
So what advice, here's one of the questions. We have some graduating seniors that are going to be moving on here in the spring. What advice would you have for them, maybe trying to move into an IT role as they graduate?
Don't be afraid to apply for a job that you may not think you're qualified for. It's like I said, when we're looking for people, you may come in as long as you've worked on PCs. That's one of the skills we look for, but we really are looking more for personality. How are you going to fit in with our team? How do you resolve basic problem skills? And can you relate to people very well? Don't be afraid to go out and ask for that job in IT where, oh, I only have a 2-year associate's degree in PC repair. Be honest, most of us don't care about that. All it tells us is you know how to learn.
Cool.
So we'll teach you the rest.
That's great advice. Yeah, to be that lifelong learner. Now, there's some acronyms in this next question, and I have to plead ignorance. Would a CCNA or CCNP be great to have? Do you know what those acronyms are?
I've heard them before. I'm trying to remember what they all stand for.
I'm going to Google it. If you want to explain for
it. Any certification you have is always a good thing to put on a resume. It, if nothing else, shows that you were willing to go above and beyond, and sometimes that's the differentiator between you and the next person applying for the job is, hey, this person did take the initiative to go out and get this certification, versus, oh, they're hoping that they got out of school and, hey, I need a job, hire me type thing. Those are the differentiators between who gets hired and who doesn't.
that was Cisco certified. Is Cisco a platform?
Cisco is one of the big companies for computer equipment. They make anything from switches to phones to computer, the actual servers. So most of their big thing originally was in routing, and that's where a lot of their programming still takes place. Cisco routing is always a good thing to know. I'll be honest with you, it's not as good as it used to be because there's so many other platforms out there now. We used to use Cisco. We've switched over. We use Aruba Networks now. So is it good to have? Absolutely. Is it going to be, if for a Cisco shop, they would absolutely love that certification. In our case, yeah, maybe, maybe not.
Gotcha. So if a kiddo was thinking about moving into this field, what kind of classes or should they think about taking in high school or maybe even on their free time? Is there anything that they could explore?
I would definitely take a couple of programming courses of some type just to get a feel for in the field. If you're looking at computers, do you prefer the I'm sitting at my desk writing code, or do you want to be more of the I'm out working on equipment hardware side and resolving day-to-day problems? So definitely take a few computer courses, both in the PC repair side as well as the programming side, just to see where you like. And right now, security is the big thing. Any type of computer security class. I can't tell you how much we're doing with security right now. We've got 3 guys that's their whole job.
So explain more about that. Security
from everything from securing our data to going through and making sure we're using VPNs or virtual private networks. So anytime you're working, we have a lot of people working from home right now. We can't allow them a direct internet connection to us. So they get on their home internet and then create a VPN or virtual private network tunnel through the internet to our servers. And we authenticate back to them with a 2-factor authentication. So we have to verify it's their username and password coming in. That equipment is assigned to them, and then also they'll get a text message on their cell phone asking, is this really you? If it is, click approve to allow the connection. So security is a huge part of that. We also, because of our contracts with the government, have to meet, they call it NIST, but it's a Naval Intelligence Security Program that they have about 1,000-page document out there that we have to meet the requirements of various things. Even as simple as, is your PC up to date with all security patches from Microsoft? So security can cover anything from the PC hardware side to the programs to the actual data we have on our network. Is it secure? If somebody's going to take data out of our network, they have to have a secured thumb drive that's encrypted before it can leave the building, and it has to be signed out.
So now you were talking about that naval. Yeah,
it's they call it NIST.
Yeah, and if your technology staff didn't have that in place, API wouldn't be able to secure any contracts with the government. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. So that's like meeting a standard that the government says, hey, if you're going to do something for us, you have to meet these standards because you got to keep it secure.
That's the current security standard from the government, yes. And that even includes simple things like meetings. If I wanted to have a meeting with a government contractor, I would not be allowed to use Teams. I would have to use our Skype for Business meeting software, because security wise, we own the software, the Skype software, and it's running on our server, not on a Microsoft server, which I don't have control of the Microsoft server. So for security reasons, I could not use Teams to meet with a government contractor.
Do you think that somebody from the government is listening to this right now, Jim?
Yes. Guaranteed.
It's not Trump because it's election day, right? Okay, so is there any specific age group that you would encourage to apply for a trade school? Now that's kind of a question that came in. So I think the question is geared towards post-secondary, like after they graduate, would be a good transition into a trade school?
Yes, that would be a good one. To be honest, of the last 3 people we've hired, one of them was an older gentleman. He was in his late 40s that He had been in a manufacturing job. He got laid off from it, went back to school, got his computer certification, and we hired him just because of his skill sets. He had that personality that fit with us, and he'd been working in other contracting jobs with other people, and he just fit really well with our team.
That's great. So one of the things that I threw into our announcement in this team's live event was the website www.code.org. And for those of you listening out there, it's a free resource to help anybody at any level learn how to code. It's anything from elementary to high school level. Jim, are you familiar at all with the app Grasshopper?
No, I haven't used that one.
Okay, so that was a question that came in. Would the app Grasshopper help me code? But it's just in terms of going out and finding anything that can help you think sequentially with that coding. Is there anything that comes to mind that you would recommend?
Any of the programming like C, C++, Visual Basic, .NET, those are the big ones people are looking for. The other one are any of the web coding tools. Our developers know them well. I don't use them, so I'd be honest with you, I don't know those tools very well.
So, some of the ones that are very common are Scratch and Snap and Code.org. So if you listeners out there, you can just pull those up, and there's everything from entry level to all the way up to high school. So I have a question here. I've built one server. We have a kiddo here that's been learning about computers since he was 12 or 13. He's built one server in quite a few computers, but he's not sure where he would fit in. Any advice for this guy about as he moves into post-secondary?
It depends on what he's building the machines for. You could go into the infrastructure side where you are building servers, programming switches, setting up routers. That would be a good fit for the computer side. On the PC side, if you like doing that with the repairing, the problem solving, you could fit on the technician side. So with building his own, either direction would be a great way to go. I would probably steer them more toward the server side, because more and more PCs are becoming almost a throwaway commodity. It's broke, replace it. Don't try and fix it.
Really? That's interesting. About how long? What's the general lifespan now of, say, this laptop that I just got 2 months ago?
We use ours on a 5-year rotation. After 5 years, it's for 2 reasons. One is financial. We depreciate him over a 5-year period. So after 5 years, there's $0 value as far as an asset. And secondly, by that point, it has reached end of life technology-wise. It's actually outdated in about 4 months, but new version come out that fast. But yeah, we go every 5 years on our equipment for PCs itself.
Do you have a preference between operating system?
We're a Windows shop. Pure and simple. We do Windows 10. We do have some older versions of Microsoft, but even our servers are running on a Microsoft program, Microsoft Hyper-V.
Gotcha. So what are what's something interesting or funny, or maybe I can't believe that actually happened to you in your role as IT supervisor?
We learned to put covers over certain power switches. Because I was talking to somebody one day and leaned over and turned off the server rack.
Oh, wow.
It was not a good thing. So you'll have those days. It's one of those, now what? And all you can do is wait for them to shut down and power them back on. And so after that, we put a cover over the rack switch.
Explain to our audience a server. What's the
a server is usually where you store all the data. We have PCs on everybody's desk that run software anywhere from engineering people where they're doing AutoCAD or SolidWorks design engineering, actually making component parts and putting them into assemblies. So when I say like a 9-pin D sub connector, it has 9 pins in that connector. We also make anything up to several 100-pin round connectors. They'll lay out all the parts for that as an engineer. Those assemblies are then saved out to our network. And if something happens, we have the data, we can replicate that, we can send that file to somebody else to work on, we can send it to our manufacturing at any of our plants, and they could build from that blueprint. We also have customer service people, the same thing. They work on their PC locally, but they're running programs on an actual server in the background. All our data is stored on servers and then archived. Well, we do every 15 minutes, we do a second image.
Backing
so servers all on the back end. In the room behind me, we have a server rack with 180 servers in it. And all it is most of them are just large hard drive storage areas.
For digital files.
Yep, everything is stored digitally on a server somewhere, and we can pull it back, we can recover, we can move it to somewhere else. If one fails, they roll over to a second one. So we have servers and we have backup servers of those. So it's not if one fails, we're dead in the water. It just rolls to a different one and we fix the first one.
So we have another question. It just came in, and oh boy. I use Kali Linux on my desktop and Windows 10 on my laptop.
Okay.
Which I'm using right now. I love Linux more than Windows, more sometimes, but I do know a lot of servers run on some kind of Linux distro, like Ubuntu.
Yeah, Ubuntu or Red Hat.
Ubuntu, yeah. I might get a certification in infrastructure and penetration testing. So I think it was more of a comment than a question. Anything you want to say back?
Actually, we most of our servers, before we went to Microsoft Hyper-V about 3 years ago, we ran everything on VMware, which is another company program, and we ran Ubuntu Linux on our servers as the base operating system, and then we would load our Windows servers as virtual machines on that server. So Ubuntu is a great language to know, whether it's the Ubuntu one, any of the Linux ones, whether it's Red Hat, Ubuntu, C Linux, there's actual Windows was out there, which is a Linux version of Windows. Any of those are great ones to know. Some companies run VMware with Linux-based software on them. Ours happens to be a Microsoft shop, but that's another avenue for servers or hardware side.
Cool. Well, Jim, I want to respect your time. I want to say, give a special thank you to you for talking to us and all of our kiddos that are connected, and we do have this recorded. So without any more questions coming in, do you have anything you want to say to our kiddos before we end this live event?
No, don't be afraid to continue keeping learning. I mean, when you get out of school, like I said before, school is just an avenue to learn how to learn and where to do research from. But especially in the computer field, it keeps changing completely. When I started in the field 30 years ago is a whole different ballgame than it is today. And you either learn and move forward, or you're going to be outside looking in going, what the heck happened?
That's great advice. Well, thank you, Jim, for connecting, and thank you to everybody in our audience for connecting. We will have this recording some posted onto our website sometime soon. So thank you again, Jim. And
certainly have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.